have to keep in mind, that's why I'm doubled up today. It's problems or profits, right? All the time. There's problems everywhere. Everybody's got a problem. It's their money, it's the husband, it's the wife, it's the price you're offering, the terms you're offering, the state of the union, the fucking COVID, the Third Reich, like everything's a big problem. But there's always a solution if we just think about it for a minute. Like really think about your sellers and what their why is and what's holding them back.
This one lady, she wants to sell very bad. Like she always talks to me and complains about how she wants to sell this and that, right? Which is good. But her problem is her husband's back is like hurting. And she said like all his nerves are messed up or whatever, right? And I was friendly with her because I related to that with like, you know, family members that I've had who have had those issues. But it's like I asked her to do a walkthrough and like, you know, even a virtual walkthrough. And then I did what Amar said last week when I asked this to like be like, well, you know, it's in your best interest for us to come through so we can give you a better price. And she's just not budging whatsoever, but wants to sell, but like doesn't want to do a walkthrough, doesn't want to do a virtual walkthrough. So she just said, call back in like 3 months. So would you guys say that's something that I should kind of just call back in 3 months?
Yeah, so
I would escalate it. Just escalate it as fast as possible and dump an offer on her. Like just drive there and put an offer in her mailbox that's at the price and terms that make the most sense for you. And if that doesn't escalate the conversation, then put her like on a back burner follow-up list. But at the same time, it moves you forward into better conversations with people that are likely to make decisions. Because a couple things with those people, she's either never going to make the decision. Okay. She's going to sell in 5 fucking years after the whole house has fallen in on her. Or she's going to sell like tomorrow because somebody actually gave her an offer and she's like, fuck it, let's just do it. So I'd rather be the person giving her the offer and then potentially getting her 7 years later deal if she says no right away. But at least then you feel good that you've done what you needed to do. And then you can get back on the phone with somebody that wants to give you a deal that you can make another 65K assignment on, right?
Yeah, because
you always escalate things as fast as possible. Like, hey man, I'm not fucking around here. I've got an offer for you. It is conditional that I have 2 to 3 weeks to complete my due diligence and shit's moving slower with COVID, but it's unacceptable for me to wait 2 to 3 months. I'm going to have bought and sold fucking 10 houses by then. So do you actually want to sell this or not? Because it sounds like your husband's in a pretty bad spot. And I don't really see any excuse for you guys waiting around on this. Like there's probably things that are going on that led you to call me initially, whether that's the layout of the house or maybe it's a 2-story house and you fucking hate stairs. Okay, that sucks. What are we doing about that? Okay, it's time for you to wake the fuck up. You decided to call me today, and there's a reason for that. You don't just wake up and think about selling your house. Okay, so walk me through what led you to calling me today. Well, this and that. Okay, let's solve that problem right now. I know it's hard. It's not going to be easy. Here's some things I can do for you. I'll make this process really smooth. I'm going to make it super simple. There's 6 pages here that we need to look at on this offer. And as soon as you sign all those, it's a done deal. And I will do everything in my power to help this transaction go smooth for you. Okay. And finally, I can offer you some other stuff that maybe other people aren't thinking about because I totally resonate with you. I've got other family members that are in that spot or have been in that spot that I know. So I get it. I know what you're going through. Why don't I offer this for you? I'll pay for your moving company. Okay, I'll pay for the people to come and move all this shit because that's probably one of the things that you're thinking about and dreading. I'll bring you the moving boxes. Okay, we'll drop them off at the house. Only thing you got to do is pack it up. If you can't pack it up yourself, you just pack up all the small stuff and I'll pay for the moving guys to actually finish packing up the large stuff and make sure that they carry all that shit out for you. Does that sound fair enough? Right? Now we're having a conversation about solutions, right? What holds somebody back from selling their house? Most often, some sort of fear or anxiety about the actual process, or they don't know where they're going. So the next further follow-up from that, where are you planning on moving? If you had a magic wand, where would you move to today? Okay. Well, I'm looking at White Oaks in London. Okay. White Oaks in London. Awesome. Average house price around there, I happen to know because I'm an expert in my city and my neighborhoods, is about 350 grand. Okay. So what you're going to need from the proceeds of this sale, okay, to be able to buy a house over there for 350 grand, you know, you're going to need at least 20% down. That's typical mortgage products, right? Is 80% loan to value. Now, you could go a high ratio loan as well, something CMHC insured, and put 5% down. Okay. So you're going to need either 5% or 20% down. If I make you an offer today at $400,000, are you going to have 20% to put down on 350? Yes. Okay. Amazing. That's perfect. It looks like your finances are in order. I'm helping you out with the moving. What else do we have that's holding us back from making a decision today? Right. And whatever comes next may be the real objection. Well, I haven't been able to find a house. Cool. What's the ideal house look like? I'm looking for a 2-bed, 1-bath bungalow. Okay, perfect. If I was able to reach out to some strategic partners of mine and locate that property for you, would you be willing to make a decision today? Right. And if she's like, yeah, okay, perfect. I'll get somebody working on finding you that building. In the meantime, why don't we do this? Let's tie this building up. Okay. We'll get this contract signed today so that I know that you're serious and so that I can be serious about helping you out. Let's get this contract signed today. And what we'll do is we'll just do a later closing date. And should you find a property right away, we can amend the contract for a shorter closing date. Does that make sense? And she, yeah, okay, perfect. Let's go. And then what's holding us back now? We figured out the money, we figured out the moving, we figured out the where are you going, we figured out everything. Tell me your objection. I fucking dare you. Right? Like, I don't see how it can not move forward at that point if she actually is serious about moving. Right. And so I think we have to keep in mind, that's why I'm doubled up today. It's problems or profits, right? All the time. There's problems everywhere. Everybody's got a problem. It's their money, it's the husband, it's the wife, it's the price you're offering, the terms you're offering, the state of the union, the fucking COVID, the Third Reich, like everything's a big problem. But there's always a solution if we just think about it for a minute. Like really think about your sellers and what their why is and what's holding them back. Because like the things that hold people back are always the most basic shit. Like, I don't know how to move because it's going to suck. Like trying to carry all these boxes and I don't have a truck. Right. And it's just like, bro, this is a $2,000 problem. We can pay for the movers for you. Like this is not a thing. And when we think we can get it at an appropriate price, we can afford $2,000 as a negotiation tactic. Right. Tyler has done this several times where he's done the moving company or pest control or junk removal or whatever, right? And you just build that into your fee. If you're making 70 grand, you can afford to give the seller 5 grand in services, right? Unless you're Amar because he's Egyptian and that shit don't fly. You got to haggle those motherfuckers. I want 72 and I'll give you 1 back. Okay. Cool. Nice workshop.
I actually paid off a lien for a seller the one time during the walkthroughs for the buyers. Rebecca was there. Good thing Rebecca was there because she was able to show the property to the buyers that were coming through. But halfway through, the seller's like, "Hey, you have to pay this lien today, or the bank's probably going to close on my house." So I left the walkthrough, drove to some mortgage company, some office, and I went in there and I paid like a $600 lien. Came back and Rebecca was hanging out with the drunk husband, just fucking walking around the property, showing the property, and we sold it the next day for 75 grand. So it was a win.
And HR is now hearing that you've left Rebecca with drunk husband.
That was a wild day.
I felt uncomfortable. That's for sure.
Yeah, mistakes were made, but we got the deal. All right. Has everybody said their piece? Can I do my talk on offers, please? Okay, here's the thing. We've sent out 350,000 flyers this month, and we're planning on sending out almost double that if everybody's sticking to the original plan that we created November 25th. Okay, that's a lot of flyers. That's going to be a lot of calls. Currently, we have roughly, well, not roughly, we have, according to our KPIs, 1,009 inbound calls. Okay. That's going to translate into a significant number of offers. First of all, it's going to translate to a significant number of walkthroughs. Then that should translate into a significant number of offers. Couple things we need to really be aware of here. And sorry, not to exclude the Niagara guys. It sounds like based on your numbers that I just tallied up in my head, like you guys did like 700 calls or something like that, like yesterday, which is fucking wild. So between us, you know, we've got 1,700 potential leads, right? And that's going to translate to lots of walkthroughs, whether they're virtual or in person, and then lots of offers. One of the worst things we can do, and one of the biggest crimes, I think, against your own time is to not be prepared going to these walkthroughs, having the data. Okay. The minute we get a call inbound, the minute we make an outbound call, if we know the address, we can start the ball rolling on getting those geo warehouse reports or the comparable sales, or even just House Sigma, so that you know the difference between a $300,000 house and a $500,000 house. You don't need to be exact. And one of the things to understand here too is you don't need to pull comps every property. Okay, if you're in the same neighborhood with similar building types, pull all the sales for that area. Like if your thing is London, for example, you need not pull comps every opportunity. You just need to pull one set of comps for like everything that sold in the last 3 months. And then you should be the expert at identifying those neighborhoods and where they're at. And then that will inform you for every walkthrough what the comparable sales are. This doesn't need to be a just-in-time thing. Okay. Just-in-time is useful when we think that there's big changes in the market happening constantly. I don't see that happening. Okay. Just-in-time, there's a really good time and place for just-in-time approach to things. And one of those may have been like last March, where we're like, fuck me, I don't know if COVID's going to tank the whole economy or the entire house market. So that's where we're looking at like weekly comps. What happened this week or today even in sales? Okay. Just to see if like maybe we can identify a fucking cliff where the whole market's going to go down. But today we don't see that. We're seeing, in fact, a very hot market that seems to be fairly stable. And there's all sorts of goddamn money out there stimulating the purchases. So I really would want to encourage you guys to have the data before you even go. And to Tyler's point and Jordan's point, is they found out you can make a lot better use of your time if you actually have the information going in. And then the next important thing to that point, and Mike sort of raised this idea here, is like, should we just go with offers that are signed without necessarily having the price? Sure. Like if that's what gets us to go from walkthroughs to an actual offer faster, I guarantee you that will 100% of the time result in more money being made for yourself and for your respective companies. Okay. Why that's important? Because then when you have actual resources and money, you can afford to pay for more marketing. You can afford to pay for different types of marketing. You can afford to make sense in your mind of paying for little incentives for the seller, like a junk removal or a moving company. Okay. When you're totally broke, you've got no money, you don't think like that. You actually don't think about, oh, I could pay for the moving company. Okay, because you're too busy thinking about how am I going to pay for fuel and insurance and gas and rent and all this other shit. Okay, that's the type of shit that happens to poor people. Okay, we don't want to be like poor people or think like poor people because they're constantly getting stuck in really simple problems because they don't have the abundance to think, you know what, I think there's a problem here that I could just solve with a little bit of money. Okay, so very fucking important to get our money right for everybody on this call. My team's done a really great job at getting their money right. And I think that's why we get to creative solutions very fast. Like Tyler, when he's making $476,000 in fucking assignment fees, is immediately thinking, you know what, I should go pay this lien. Right. And he's not waiting to call Adam and be like, hey, bro, there's this $600 thing. He's no, fuck it. He just went and swiped it. And then later went like, hey, bro, you know, could we split on this thing? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's a deal. Like, that's a deal that we did that resulted in, you know, whatever that one was, but probably 50 or 70 grand knowing Tyler. So, you know, that's the type of shit you think of when you have the resources to think aggressively. And we always want to be aggressive in our approach to finding solutions. Okay. Problems or profits all the time. Okay. Another point I wanted to touch on today, other than the speed, and speed, I guess I should elaborate a little bit more on that. Speed can be achieved in many ways. One of the best ways, like I've already mentioned, is just pulling all of the sales. right? And then you determine which sales are actually comparable to the property that you're about to go walk through. But this is beautiful, beautiful work that you can do after hours, right? You can do this 8 to 10 p.m. when you're not really actually doing anything. You're probably fucking watching Netflix or doing something stupid or jerking off. Like, you're not actually doing productive stuff at that time. So get interested, get invested in your business, right? Because each one of you is a business owner at this point. You may work for Ryan or Brandon or myself, but everything that you do, all the results that you get are going to be up to you, right? I can provide you some mentorship and generally some tips and tricks to do better with your efforts. But if you don't put the effort in, you're not going to ever benefit from those tips and tricks. And the effort for me looks like actually getting to the property. That could be virtually too, but I do prefer an in-person walkthrough. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because you lack certain media richness, right? With a virtual walkthrough, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, you can't see it, you can't really relate to how they're living. Okay, because on a screen, everything's detached. If you guys have seen that movie Good Kill, all right, it's a great movie about the American Air Force guys that hang out in Nevada and they operate the fucking drones. Okay, it's a lot easier to drop a bomb on somebody when you're fucking 4,000 kilometers away and you're operating a joystick that looks like a video game. All right, and the same thing, that's an extreme example of this, but the same thing happens when you're trying to relate to somebody and all you see is, you know, some clutter here or there. And well, maybe it's very cluttered, but like it's, you know, it's cluttered and they're like, yeah, we want to sell or whatever. It's totally different when you're walking through it and you have to step over the garbage on the floor, over the clothing on the floor. The fucking cats are everywhere and the dogs are barking and there's probably 3 kids and it smells, okay? It smells wet. It smells like old food. It smells like cigarettes, okay? There's shit everywhere. And that gives you a real impression of what it's like to be in that space. And if you just spend 15 minutes in that space, you'll have a much better understanding of what it must be like to spend 24/7 in that space. Okay. And that gives you the conviction that you're going to need to negotiate better for them on their behalf to get them out of that situation. Okay. Because when you're in that situation, and even just for 10 minutes, if you're like me, you're like, holy fuck, I got to get out of here. And so that's why my walkthroughs are maybe only 10 or 15 minutes, but I'm capturing all the photos I need. I'm seeing the things that I want to see, not what they want to show me. Okay. There's a big advantage in being able to capture the data yourself because you know where to look. Okay. The seller, even if you direct them through a phone, they're not going to give you the right angles, the right photos, the right lighting, the right everything, right? They just don't know this stuff. And for you guys, you're going to be able to much better connect with these people and be able to actually provide them solutions. Like the person with the back issue or whatever, you're going to identify right away in that walkthrough as you're there, hey, there's fucking stairs all over this place. If I had a bad back, I probably wouldn't enjoy this. And then take that further to so what, okay? Everything that we do, you should always ask so what at the end of it, because that really tells you what you should be thinking about. So there's stairs everywhere. Okay. And that kind of sucks for mobility and stuff, but so what? Okay. Well, the so what is getting us further down the pipeline to Tyler's point in our sales funnel, which starts at lead generation and then collecting data and research and then preparing an offer, getting that walkthrough, presenting the offer, and then moving that through to an actual accepted contract. If you're there and you're thinking about that funnel the whole time, the so what then becomes, how do I get this sale or how do I get this closer to a contract? You have to start thinking about what your seller is going to have to go through. And so when I think about stairs, I think, wow, that sucks for daily life. But then when I think about our sales funnel, how do I get closer to the money? Well, I need an accepted offer. Well, what would hold these guys back from an accepted offer? Well, maybe they're just scared and terrified about how and uncomfortable about how to actually move, right? That's a big fucking problem. If the man of the house, right, can't help, he can't do anything, his back's fucked. So now we start asking the right questions. What can I do to alleviate that problem and find a solution here? And inside the solutions are the profits, right? Pay for the moving company, pay for whatever to make it happen. Okay. That's this type of thing that we can ask ourselves and the so what's that we can arrive at when we actually walk through the building. Okay. And having that data is so easy. Request it from your realtor. Get the comps ahead of time. Get get the sales for your market, your neighborhoods before you even drop your flyers, and then get them again as needed. But there's nothing holding you back from being fast about this. Okay, agility is one of our core values, and we talked about this in our core values conference.